Hey guys, Brian delivers you the goods here. I'm returning to you tonight for finally the Metallica album review you've been waiting for. And this is going to be for 72 Seasons. This album review I'm reviewing for you guys tonight. So I'm going to discuss what I listened to for all 12 tracks for this album and let you know my thoughts on this 12-track album, which is a runtime of 77 minutes. So let's dive into this album review. Now, personally for me, I think with what I listened to with this album, I think it's a good album, but I'm going to go and dive into the tracks that I listened to, with the first song being the title track, 72 Seasons. That was the last single we got before this album came out. This came out like March 30th. I didn't review it till the week after because I've been dealing with internet server carriers and all that, or internet service carriers and all that. So pretty much I've been hung up with things and dealing with outside of YouTube stuff with unpacking and house chores and all that stuff. So pretty much I didn't have time to get to reviewing it until when I was able to. But definitely go check out that track review. I still enjoyed this track, 72 Seasons. Pretty fast track. Good way to start the album, in my personal opinion. So 5 out of 5 for this track. Really enjoyed it, and when I reviewed it, I believe I gave it a 5 out of 5. So 5 out of 5 still for this track. Shadows Follow is the next song after the title track. And in my personal opinion, it's another good track. Really enjoyed this one. So another 5 out of 5. It pretty much, I'll get to my critiques later on and what I think of the album overall, but still, 5 out of 5 for Shadows Fall. Still a pretty good song, and I like James Hetfield's singing in it, and Lars is really going at it with the drum work. And Kirk Hammett is great with his guitar solos as well, and the Robert guy uh, can barely hear the bass, but it does sound alright for what it's going for. Next song is Screaming Suicide, and in my personal opinion, solid track. I kind of outgrew this song. I mean, to say that it's not my personal favorite song as when I thought I'd like it back in January when I reviewed it, so definitely go check out that track review if you haven't seen it. I don't hate the song. I think it's a good song, but there are certain sections in the track that I kind of have my cringe moments at, with how James Hetfield's going to keep me inside kind of thing, and reciting other lyrics with it closer to the end of the track. It follows a repetitive cycle, this track, with how it's sounding repetitive, and it's fine, but it's classic Metallica with what they go for. But still, 4.5 out of 5. Sleepwalk My Life Away, another solid track. It's good in its own way. Just have my critiques about how James Hetfield's singing it, in my personal opinion. So 4.5 out of 5. You Must Burn is probably the weakest song on this album. It's not that I hate it, it's just decent. There's some weird vocal tuning with James Hetfield's vocals, and the bassist Robert actually sings in this track. And to be honest, I wasn't impressed with this track overall, because there were weird symphonic noises and just the way it was sounding with the vocal tuning. It just didn't work for me and click with me, in my personal opinion. So 4 out of 5 for You Must Burn. It was decent, but not something I would come back to. Lexi Turner was the first single we got for this album, 72 Seasons, and I really like this track, in my personal opinion. But I know some people have outgrown this track and be like, it's fine. But I still like it for what it went for, so 5 out of 5. It really was a hard-hitting track, with how fast the drum work was going, and the guitar work was really ripping it, and James Hetfield's singing was pretty outstanding. Crown of Barbed Wire, solid track. It's good in its own way, but just there's some moments where James Hetfield's singing kind of gets a little meaning kind of cringy, at times, just depending on the certain verses he's singing. So 4.5 out of 5. Chasing Light is a really rockin' track. Really enjoyed this for what it went for, and definitely recommend checking this one out when it comes out at midnight tonight. So 5 out of 5. This was probably one of my favorite regular tracks because of how James Hetfield's singing it. And there's certain sections that kind of overdo it, but it still is a pretty rockin' track. If Darkness Had a Sun was the third single we got for this album, right before the 72 Seasons, the title track. Then we got Late May, or Late March, I meant to say. Sorry if I said May. Pretty much, If Darkness Had a Sun is a pretty strong track, and I definitely recommend you guys check this one out. So 5 out of 5. And check out the music video too, it's pretty interesting. Too Far Gone is a solid track. It's good in its own way, but some of the weird vocal pitches that James Hetfield's vocals are sounding, I don't know if it connected with me on a personal level to where I like it. So 4.5 out of 5. Room of Mirrors did have something going for it with the fast drum work and how James Hetfield's singing it, but it kind of gets diminished and a little ruined with how his vocals are sounding at certain sections in the track with James Hetfield. But the drum work and instrumentation is pretty awesome in this track, so 4.5 out of 5. I almost gave it a 5 out of 5. But it's getting a 4.5 out of 5, which is a good song, but I have my critiques about it. And finally, Anamaria, the final track, which is an 11-minute and 10-second track. I was liking some of it, but it's just the way James Hetfield's vocals are sounding. It's a little too out of place with how he's singing, but it's something. So it is the final track to close this album, and it's a very fucking long one, but if I should say so myself, but I guess it gets the job done. It's a good song. Have my critiques about it as well. So 4.5 out of 5. Overall, production, mixing, and execution-wise, I think Metallica's 11th studio album, 72 Seasons, is a good album in its own way. It's not going to be on my best albums, but it's good for what it is. But I still have my critiques about it. I think the weakest song was You Must Burn. It's my least favorite. I guess you can check it out if you want to. Maybe some of you might have a different opinion about it, but for me, I gave it a 4 out of 5 only because there were some weird vocal tunings with how Robert and James Hetfield were singing it. Just didn't connect with that track, to be honest. So if I were to give this album an overall score, I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. This is a good album, like I said. Definitely check this out for yourself to see what you think of it, because some of you might actually like this album. Me personally, I think it's good, but nothing I'm going to say is one of the best Metallica albums to date. So 8 out of 10 for Metallica 72 Seasons album for this review. Thanks for watching.